In this video I'm going to show you how to draw this yellow jacket. But before we start, we'll just have a quick look at all the things that determine how you can draw a jacket. The first thing I usually do is I draw my basic shape of my jacket. So as you can see in the grey, I've got the sleeve and the front. I've made the collar transparent so you can see how I've drawn the front. So I haven't tried to draw the collar in immediately. I've drawn the collar as a shape on top of the front. I need to know how big my button is going to be. We can see over here it's a very big button. To determine how wide my button wrap will be. When you're making a pattern, this is important. The button will always sit on the center front, and the buttonholes on a jacket are usually horizontal, so running across, which means that the button stand or the button wrap needs to be wide enough to carry a button sitting on the center front and a buttonhole wide enough to take that button. The break line determines how the collar sits, or how you create that collar. So the first thing you're going to do when you're drawing up a pattern for a jacket is you're going to work out how high you want that collar to sit on the neck, and you'll draw in your break line, and then you'll draw in the shape of your collar. Folding that out will give you the collar lapel. So you can imagine if I folded this out that way, you would see the collar lapel here. This line over here that your jacket collar is joined onto usually is the neckline and will follow through from the neckline. So having said that, let's first of all have a look at this picture and analyze it, which is important when you first start drawing something. So moving over to our croquis and looking at this picture, what we can see when we look at this jacket is, first of all, we'll have a look at the bust line, the waistline, and if you know your proportion, you know that the distance from the bust to the waist and the waist to the hip are the same distance. So this distance here and this distance here is the same distance. So this will give me a very good idea of where the jacket actually sits on the body. So I've dragged a guideline to sit on the hip, dragged a guideline to sit on the waist, and dragged a guideline to sit on the bust. We can see that the second button, first, second, sits close to the waist, and I believe that if this jacket fitted the mannequin properly, it would sit on the waist, and that the first button sits below the bust. We can also see that little step over there, that's our center front. And looking at the distance from the waist to the hip, we can see that the jacket is quite curved because of the fact that it has a bit of a peplum on the side, and that it sits probably at high hip height. And we'll use all of those indicators to draw this jacket.